Welcome to my dad's car. Enjoy!
Welcome to My Dad's Car, a podcast discussing our personal relationship with automotive nostalgia. And you know what? It doesn't even have to be about your dad's car. It can be your mum's, your grand's, your parents', guardians, or even a neighbour's. If it made an impression, let's talk about it. Hi everyone, just a quick note before we start the show. We've set up a supporter programme, so if you're enjoying the podcast, you can give us a tip. Head over to our website, mydadscar.co.uk, where you can either make a one-off donation or sign up to give us a £3 a month bump start. We'll put that towards equipment and hosting costs. Now, back to the show. Enjoy. Good morning, Lydia.
Afternoon.
You right?
Yeah, you're right.
So, John, Lydia, John.
Hi, John. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Lydia. Nice to meet you. How's your Tuesday going?
Brilliant. Monday done.
Yeah. Quick, wasn't it? 50% off Mondays now. Big thank you for the support for the podcast and saying you'll come on and join us. And yeah, we're looking forward to hearing your story.
Oh my God.
So let's start with the other ones really. What's your earliest car memory?
God, my dad had so many. My dad loved a project. I can't say I ever felt safe in my dad's car. He always has some project, and he wasn't even a mechanic. He just something will drop off. I don't know, the exhaust, or I don't know. There's all sorts of noises going in those cars, and he'll be just working on it. Never know. I don't even know he knew what he was doing, but yeah.
A DIYer, shall we say?
Oh yeah. Naples. What you guys call a jack of all trades. He used to be a mechanic. He used to work on the railway. Then he became a mechanic. Then a washing machine fixer. All sorts of things.
So he had a basic idea of engineering then. I think he's got a little bit of pedigree there.
Yeah. It was interesting being in the back of the car. I always remember him driving fast, crazy, a bit like I drive myself now.
Can you remember specifically what type of cars that he used to drive around in?
Oh, my God.
Or one in particular?
Yes, the Mini. The proper Mini. Not this Mini like I got now. Tiny brown thing. I can't tell you what models because I know we were very little. And unfortunately, it got nicked outside my grandmother's house. But yeah, that was definitely, I can never forget it because I remember being in my grandmother's house and we just looked, we were just waiting for Dad to go and collect her from the top of the road. And it was gone. I remember it's just like the car was gone.
That must have been fun going around in the Mini. How old were you then, Lydia? Were you?
Oh, probably 10, I think. I was very young.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very young. So, but yeah, that's. I think that is my first car memory. But I remember he had a Volvo as well. He had so many. It was ridiculous.
So no Italian cars so far then? He's gone British and Swedish.
Did he? Yeah. Did he have Italian cars?
We were all geared up for a stereotype, Lydia.
I was thinking Alphas, there's going to be Fiats and maybe a Ferrari.
No, maybe he might have. Did he have a Fiat? He had so many, but it's really hard to remember because I was so little.
Mm.
And I just. But the Mini and the Volvo, I remember because the Volvo, he had an accident and he went. It was upside down. I remember his Volvo went, upside down. But I can't tell you all the models he had because, like I said, he had so many projects. They'll probably just end up at the scrappers.
Mm.
Take us back to the Mini. Who was travelling in it? I guess your dad was driving. Was it? You got siblings? Was your mum in the car or?
Yeah, it was me, obviously Dad, Mum, me, and my little brother.
And did your parents smoke? Did they have the radio on?
Oh, of course, yeah. Dad always had the radio on, smoking like a chimney. Never mind us being in the back, swearing at people, being in traffic. Yeah. So, and that was I mean, the Mini was quite obviously very small, but if he had bigger cars, it would normally, I can never forget, his seat would be so far behind. It was almost like he was driving lying down, like that.
The deck chair position.
Yeah, like that. All he needed is paper, a cup of tea. Yeah.
So just to make the sort of obvious link, Italian family driving around in Italy in a Mini. Had he seen the Italian job, do you think, or taken a bit of inspiration from that? Or is it just is that a common car in Italy, the Mini? I guess it went worldwide, didn't it, obviously, but I don't know if it was...
Oh, I don't... Again, I was so small. I mean, yeah.
Do you have loads of gold in the boot?
Yeah.
Just checking.
A pair of thick black frame glasses in the glove box for doing his Michael Caine impressions.
Probably. I think it was my dad. It was more like, it was never like a fashionable thing for my dad. It was more like what was cheap to buy. And then end up on the drive to fix it. I mean, I got a vague memory of him having a Mercedes as well. So yeah, I don't know, he might have had an Alfa Romeo in amongst all the cars he had, but yeah, very difficult to remember it all.
And was it just your dad that drove, Lydia, or did your mum, did she get behind the wheel? No,
just my dad. My dad, I mean, yeah, my brother started driving at 12 years old. Yeah. Fortunately, we never got in the car with him.
Did your dad know your brother was driving?
No, we used to hang out in this. We moved into this little village. It was more like a holiday sort of village outside Naples. Was really lovely, but we used to hang out with people older than us. So we used to get away with murder. We was like, oh, yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't start learning until I was 15, maybe 16, maybe. So yeah, but.
So your brother would nick your dad's car, would he? Just go for a drive?
No. He'll drive one of his older mates' car.
What's the legal age in Italy? Is it 18 to drive?
Yeah.
Okay,
right. Naples. I mean, first time I actually drove was in the middle of, it was in a car park. My mate was teaching me, and then he saw that I was quite capable. So I always loved, I mean, some people can just pick it up. You won't believe it. But, and then I drove in the middle of Naples. Well, I don't even know how I'd done it, but I did it.
What's it like in Naples on the roads? I mean, what's the driving experience? Is it chaos?
Nightmare. I would not drive now. I mean, I got my license about 15 years ago in this country. I feel much safer, but I can say that when I tried to drive again in Italy, was a few years back. I ended up on the wrong side and nearly killed me, my dad, and my brother.
Jesus.
So not for me in Italy, thank you.
I'm glad we can laugh about that now anyway.
Oh, yeah. I think everyone knows that driving in Italy is a nightmare. I don't think that is just the south. The north is exactly as crazy, but it's not as crazy as Naples. Have you ever driven in Naples?
I've never been.
No?
Never been to Italy.
No, never been.
You've never been? Oh, you got to go because it's so beautiful. The food, okay, we might be crazy drivers, but the food, the castles, the sea, like everything is so lovely. So
It's sort of the opposite to England then, really.
come on, UK's got some amazing sites and might not have the weather, but at least you're a bit safer on the roads. Although I think lockdowns has definitely made some really bad drivers. I was talking to someone else about it, and
I think you might be onto something there, actually, Lydia. I was having a discussion the other day about people that just don't indicate anymore. It's just like people have got a bit sloppy after like lockdown and
yeah,
just come out of their out of their sort of pits and thought, yeah, I'm just going to drive how I want to drive now. I'm not going to indicate. And it particularly annoying at roundabouts, I find, when you approach at a four-way, car coming from the right-hand side doesn't indicate until it's sort of turning into the road. So then you'll just sort of, it's cost you 2 seconds at the end of the day, but still, it all adds up, doesn't it?
Absolutely. No, it's definitely something gone wrong in the last couple of years. With the signal, like you were saying, and no one knows what they do in the roundabouts. People just in general driving, not knowing what they're doing and braking constantly. I mean, I've definitely calmed down with my driving. I've had 2 car accidents in the last couple of years, and it wasn't my fault. I can tell you right now.
Do you think your dad had kind of a dream car, or was he just needed transport? It didn't really matter what it was.
I mean, we'd be watching Formula One, or whenever it was Formula One on, we'd be watching it. So he probably dreamt about racing. Maybe that's why he was driving like a madman.
Was he cheering Ferrari on?
Of course. My brother works at Ferrari right now, and I was asking him, how are we doing? He's like, not good.
Does he work for the race team?
Yes, he does. He's been a couple of times.
Oh, wow.
Jealous. I'm like, God, can you please take me with you? No.
Just a rubbish one like Monaco or something like that. Nothing flash.
One of the small ones.
He works on the secret. So where he works is in a room where he's closed. No one knows what he's working on. It's like a secret. It's some project. So yeah, he doesn't tell me. Yeah, so I have no chance to get into any racing. But Dad, he loved cars. I think that's why he liked working on them. And I think I took from him, I took that sort of that passion, because although I never been able to afford to have something like really good, maybe like I don't know, a Porsche. I'd love to have a Porsche, but yeah, I can't afford it.
Did you ever work on the car with your dad? Kind of help him out or anything?
No, I never had a chance, unfortunately. Too small. I would like to learn to work on cars, but I'll let the professional do the work now. Especially after selling parts for 12 years.
Yeah.
I know when people have done the mistakes they've done on not working on their own cars. No, thank you.
I guess that's part of the reason why your dad was probably buying cars like Minis then, just because they were easy to work on and parts are accessible, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I guess that's why I bought a Mini just a couple of years ago. I mean, it's not the same. When I got in it and I was like, wow, this is double the size it was when the one that my dad had. I mean, you see, I actually have a neighbour just up the road. He has a classic Mini, and it's so small. He has a green one. I don't know if they have various models, but it reminded me of the brown one that my dad had. And it's so tiny. Ridiculous.
Have you ever driven one, an old one?
No.
Oh, they're so funny. The one I used to have a clothes peg on the choke to hold it out, because it used to shake. The choke would just move its way back in again. You have to put a clothes peg. That's really common on Minis, and the wheel's kind of a bit flatter rather than sort of upright. It's sort of flat, but yeah, quite fun. You ever get the chance?
I don't think I've ever been in an old Mini. It's remarkable, really.
I think you're just about fit.
Yeah, no, I think I probably would, but it seems strange that I've not ever been in one, given that I'm from an era when they were obviously in circulation a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, add it to the bucket list.
Yeah, I've never seen a Star Wars film either.
No, I'm with you for that.
If we're ticking those off, yeah. And I've got no intention of seeing one either, actually.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be talking to you right now.
That's always the reaction that I'll get. It's either that sort of, same as Andy, I'm with you, or yeah, what are you talking about?
So hang on. So have you driven? I mean, have you had any classic cars?
I suppose they're classics now. Yeah, I've had a couple of old BMWs, but nothing sort of going back 70s, 60s, which to my mind is more of a classic, really. Obviously, 80s, 90s is now falling into classic car territory, isn't it? But yeah, nothing with wire wheels or.
Let's go back to, so obviously at home your dad was messing around with a Mini and some other stuff on the driveway. Oh, and he had a crash in a Volvo. Do you remember anything that, like, your neighbours had? What else was kind of down the street?
Oh, let's have a look. We moved around a lot, so I'm just trying to think. Yes, I've got to try and remember it because I had a neighbour that but I was older back then, and we lived again in this little village outside Naples. It's really long. He said, I really find it when you ignite it, it's like it lifts up the suspension.
Oh, Citroen.
Yes.
The BX.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Put another pound in the BX jar, Andy. You've got another one.
It was like driving a space shift. That was amazing.
Yeah, they were a bit sort of space age, weren't they? The old Citroens.
Ahead of their time, weren't they?
That was just literally next door. Let me see what else. I mean, in Italy, oh God, there's such a big variety. I mean, most of the people go on mopeds just so they can get out of the traffic is terrible. But Fiat Panda as well. There's loads in Italy, loads of Fiat Pandas, just cheap. And you run them to the ground. Family, still in the family, the Dyane. I remember when I was very little and my auntie used to drive one of those.
The 2CV, like Citroen.
Oh, the Dyane, is it Citroen as well?
Yeah, like a sort of hump shape.
Yeah. It's smaller, Yeah,
the roof goes back on them, doesn't it? On most of those, yeah.
So, yeah, I got fond memories of that because my auntie used to take me out a lot more than my dad used to.
So tell us about that. What colour was that?
It was a creamy colour.
Okay.
And I still remember being in the passenger seat and I don't know why I remember the windows were a bit dodgy to open. It has got...
I think they flap down, from...
No. Maybe this is a different model. So you got you have the... like the Beetle, you have the...
Oh, the quarter lights, the opening ones, yeah.
Yeah, quarter lights, yeah. So I remember the quarter lights and... but obviously a girl's car is always going to be looked after a bit more in the, than than the boys. Sorry, I'm not being discriminating, but but I do remember my dad's cars were completely very messy inside anyway.
I've just quickly Googled the Dyane, and this sort of clarifies what it is compared to the 2CV. It says the Dyane is basically a fancified, modernised 2CV with a little more room and slightly more modern styling.
There you go.
So there we go.
I think did they have square lights rather than round? I think.
Correct. Yeah. Exactly right, Andy. Square lights. I don't know. It looks like the bonnet's a bit longer as well, maybe.
Okay.
Same engine. Air-cooled flat 2.
Air-cooled?
Yeah.
And it rides on the 2CV's twisty chassis.
Oh, my God. Do they still exist? I never seen one ever again.
Citroen made 1.5 million Dyanes from 1966 to 1984.
Wow.
That's amazing, isn't it?
They got quite a following, 2CVs and Dyane. They do racing in them as well. People do like 24-hour 2CV races. They don't go very fast at all, but
No. So what's the engine size again on this?
I think it was a 1.2, wasn't it?
1.2, right. Yeah, my auntie's never been a crazy driver like my dad, so...
Don't quote me on that engine size, Citroen enthusiast.
Yeah, that's definitely one I remember very, very well. And obviously my dad's Mini. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think if anyone's in the family had any other classics.
Any Lancias floating around, Lydia, in your neighbourhood?
No, Lancia no, but talking about Fiat 500, my uncle, he is a car collector. Well, he was anyway. He had to sell it all, and bikes. Mm-hmm. So he had a classic Fiat 500, which I can't remember how much he sold for. Like, I still remember, this is weird, the gear stick had an emblem on top of it, like ivory. Mm-hmm. It was, how I do it, all of a sudden remember these things. I didn't even know. I was still, and that was cream.
Mm.
And am I right that some of the Fiat 500, did they have a rooftop open?
Mm.
Yeah, Webasto type roof. Yeah, went back.
I just really fancy a coffee whenever I see one of those or speak about them. Just the real sort of ooze Italy.
Again, it's so beautiful and small. I mean, if you go into a Fiat 500 now, they got turbo in it. Turbo? What? I really wanted one, but I know I'd be in trouble. I'd be into trouble. And he also bought a classic Porsche 911. I tried to remember. Don't quote me on this. He bought it when we still had liras, right? So this is how old it was. Is it 914? Could it be that?
914 is kind of a little mid-engine, so 2-seater engines just behind the driver.
I think I spoke to you about this, Andy, before. And he sold it. Oh, God, you won't believe how much he sold it for after restoring it. Yeah. So, yeah, everyone in the family had a bit of a passion for cars anyway. So I think I always sort of absorbed this from, and this is why I grew up always like thinking, oh, yeah, one day I'm going to have a nice car.
Do you remember how they were buying cars? So obviously over here we had Auto Trader. I guess you had similar in there, or
we had bric-a-brac.
Okay.
Or word of mouth, because we didn't have social media back then. So we used to go on this bric-a-brac that was a bit like the Friday ad, actually.
Yeah.
So it was all like, paper. Or you go, if you had a trusted mechanic, you would go, you would ask your mechanic, if you hear anyone selling. So, yeah, or mates, they get rid of a car. Granddads, sometimes granddad would get rid of his car and just pass it on, or, But, yeah, that's how they used to. I don't know. With my uncle, he has a shop, so he has quite a big network, so he probably would have heard from someone else, obviously found out, because you wouldn't buy a classic car through the bric-a-brac, God, imagine.
What about cleaning the car, Lydia? Is that a thing in Italy? Do it on the drive, that sort of thing, or is there like a car wash you take it to?
My dad wasn't very... I don't remember ever my dad washing a car. I mean, you'll find all sorts of...
You said it was messy inside. What was in there? Like just crisp wrappers, burger wrappers or something like that? Cans of Stella?
Yeah, paper, documents. I don't know.
Dog beds, did you say?
No, dog beds.
Oh, dog ends.
No, documents.
Oh, documents.
Sorry, it's my accent.
Wow.
But I remember, because he worked for the railway, they used to give him little bags with food in it, so he could have like little juice, like tuna, bread rolls,
month-old tuna.
You'll find you'll find those in the side pockets.
Like the kids' meal deals you get at the National Trust, that sort of thing.
I'd be like, dude, can you even eat this stuff after leaving it in the side pocket?
What did your mum make of that? Would your mum be like, sort this out, or she just kind of?
I think she used to let him get on with it. It's because he used to work shift, so working shift wasn't. I don't know, he could be doing a night. Anyway, so he probably used his car a little bit like, his own, or like, having a snooze kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? I always remember finding loads of newspapers at the bottom of the, so that, he'd be reading them and just leave them in there. But yeah, I mean, I guess sometimes he used to take it to get it cleaned up.
Yeah. I was going to say, maybe that Mini wasn't brown after all. It was just dirt and it was red underneath.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. We got this bad habit. I'm sure they have. I don't know if they have it here. Like when you don't clean your car, you start drawing on them, leaving a message, wash me.
Yeah, you sometimes get some quite should we say, fruity messages, don't you, in the UK? I don't know.
Yeah, not ideal, but it's just,
No.
I don't know. Some people are really proud that they like to keep their cars shiny.
Yeah.
Not my dad.
When it came for you to you driving, did you pass your test in Italy while you were still living there?
No, I moved here about nearly 30. Well, I can't remember. 30 years ago. I shouldn't really reveal my
One.
51. Only a few years back. And I took my license actually just after my 30s. And it took me 3 goes because I was so nervous. When I passed here. I was so happy. It's so liberating having a driving license, able to travel everywhere. In Italy, it's I don't know if it's easy to have to get a license, and I don't know. It's expensive to get a license anyway.
Yeah. You didn't have kind of the benefit or the issue of your dad teaching you to drive or any of that kind of.
Oh, you're joking. No way. I would never ask my dad to. No, I don't think he had the patience. But I did have a very good friend who was older than me, and he used to drive a Fiat Panda. And I said, Mario, give us a go. And he taught me. We were in a car park. It was this. We have a big a fun park in Naples, where I was born, and have a massive car park. So I had a little lesson in there, and from day one I was really good. Well, so I thought.
Do you remember which car your instructor had, Lydia, in the UK?
In UK?
Anything interesting? Probably not.
No, I don't remember what she had, but she was a very interesting woman. Because you're thinking, because people hate learners, don't they? Here, especially.
Nuisance.
Yeah. But she used to swear at people the way they used to speak. I was like, wow.
You only spoke the Queen's English before you learned to drive.
Yeah, absolutely. She taught me about language. No, I'm joking. She was really patient. She was amazing. And but yeah, she did have a go at people that used to beep at us, Maybe
it's when she found out you're from Naples and thought, this is fine, I'm off limits here, I can let loose.
Tailor it.
Yeah. She'll love this.
Yeah. She was a really interesting character, and I'm grateful that I took lessons from her. And I remember can never forget, took my test at the Marina in Brighton, and when the examiner out of the office, she went, "Oh no,
it's not what you want to hear."
No, exactly. He is the hardest guy ever. He's the grumpy or something like that. I can't remember what she said.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, no.
There's always one, isn't there? There's always like, oh, you don't want him. He's the one that will. He fails everyone. This one.
The trunchbull of examiners.
Yeah. No, I get that, but why even mentioning it? I failed on parallel parking, I think. But after 3 times of doing the test, I passed with a small amount of minors. So I was like that. Yes.
So with regards to, obviously, you've got your new Mini now. Given the opportunity, if your numbers came up, would you want an old Mini, or would you is there a kind of a car from your past you'd be like, yeah, I want one of those?
Oh, you mean like a classic car?
Whatever.
I don't think Mini. No, I definitely. If I had to, what car would I like right now? If
you won the lottery.
Oh, my car! My friend's got such a beautiful BMW. Not the series. Is it Series 4?
4 Series, yeah.
Yeah, she has one of those leather interiors. Oh, so sexy. Sorry.
Keep it clean, Lydia.
Sorry. I just think I would definitely love to have a nice working, because even my Mini, don't get me wrong, she's beautiful. I love her. She's old, 2005. Yeah. She's an old lady. She's costing me a bit of money at the moment each month, but she's ideal. If you live in Brighton, you need something small. If you move away a little bit further outside Brighton, then you can get a nice car. I would get a BMW if I could. Yeah. But not a Mini is fine. Mini, no, not the old Mini, because I think it would do it. The suspensions are a bit awkward on them.
They're not particularly comfy. You wouldn't want to do a long journey in one.
No, this is what I'm thinking. But I would still love, if as a classic car, I would definitely love a split Beetle. That would probably be my car of choice as a classic car. Yeah.
Yeah, good choice. I like that. Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's wrap it up. Thank you very much, Lydia. Thanks for sharing your time with us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I totally enjoyed this podcast. I've been following it now since you started.
Oh, bless you.
Really good, Andy. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, guys.
Nice to meet you, Lydia.
Yeah, you too.
Have a good afternoon.
Take it easy.
Ciao.
So that was Lydia.
That was good
She's
fun.
A brilliant character.
She really is, yeah. Yeah, I've really got a great picture painted in my mind of life in Naples in that brown Mini.
Absolutely, yeah. Cigarettes on the go.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, I'd love to see that, what it's like in Naples. Obviously, she learnt to drive over here, she said, didn't she? So can't blame her, really, going on what she's told us.
Yeah, it sounds a bit crazy, doesn't it? But yeah, obviously, her brother learning to drive at 12 or whatever it was. And driving around local car parks and things. But I guess even when we were learning to drive, everything was a lot more kind of relaxed.
Yeah.
So, nice to get Lydia on, our first female guest as well, which is good. So obviously, to get different perspective. And yeah, it wasn't super. We've had some quite techie, sort of geeky, nerdy stuff, haven't we, recently? So
no, it's nice to.
Yeah, a little bit of a different angle.
Definitely, yeah. And yeah, a nice sort of outlook on what her dad was like as a sort of car buyer, a DIYer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, obviously a Volvo on its roof. We didn't go too far into that one, but yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, but I thought, let's just leave it. That's enough, isn't it?
So yeah, that was another episode of My Dad's Car.
Good stuff, yeah. And thanks to Lydia for joining us.
So for those listening, I guess we do kind of hint towards it, but do give us a like, follow, subscribe, that sort of thing. Tell your friends. Slowly, like a rolling stone, we're gathering a little bit of pace and momentum and moss.
And carry on tagging us if you sort of relate to any of the themes that come up in our podcast, because we're sure that they are sort of quite common, a lot of these things. So do join us and do comment.
Absolutely. So thank you very much, John. Let's roll some credits.
Cheers, Andy.
Thanks for tuning into My Dad's Car. We're new at this and really appreciate you listening and supporting the podcast. If you enjoyed it, please click subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Give us a follow on social media and tell your friends to tune in too if you think it will be up their street.